Good afternoon and welcome to all food business operators in attendance. And I know we have representatives from Meat Industry Ireland, from IBEC, logistics and transport companies, FSAI representatives, local authority, veterinary inspectors and DAFM staff. My name is Tony Devlin. I'm head of the Veterinary Public Health Implementation Division, whose veterinary and technical staff you will have met working in the DAFM approved plants. So this is the second in the series of 12 DAFM Veterinary Public Health Traces Classic training webinars. And the purpose of these webinars is to provide information that will enable food business operators and other stakeholders to be better prepared for the changes to UK import controls that will apply on products of animal origin from the 1st of October this year. Unfortunately, these changes mean that it will not be business as usual for business operators supplying the UK market. At the moment, we're engaging with DEFRA on an ongoing basis on the issues that are likely to arise, and we'll share any information that we receive as we get clarification from the UK on their requirements relating to the trade in these products. As was mentioned last week, we've been undertaking certification trials which are proving very useful for both ourselves and for business operators. And one of the big learning outcomes to date is that food business operator staff generating export health certificates and uploading documents need to be very familiar with the operation of the traces system, all the traceability documents that will be required by the certifier in order to generate the export health certificate documents, and you need to also be able to determine the type of product that you're producing. So from that point of view, all food business operators are urgently requested to engage with their supervising veterinary inspector and DAFM staff on the ground to identify the CN codes and the category of products that they produce and where these fall into. So the focus of today's discussion will be on groupage certification and sealing, and the agenda will be coming up on your screen now. So, as was the case last week, the training will be on the Traces Classic platform. Now, we understand from the European Commission that Traces NT will be operational from the 1st of October. However, the export module for the products of animal origin is not yet available on the NT platform. So for that reason, we're continuing to use the Classic platform in the training webinars. The only change that the NT will bring for the end users, like yourselves, will be that the software that enables the completion of the export health certificate will have a different look and feel. So the webinar is scheduled to finish around 4:30, if not before. As you can see there on the agenda, following just this brief introduction, we're going to have a presentation on groupage modules and organisation of certification, and Michael Moran and SVI in Veterinary Public Health Implementation will take you through that. Then we'll have a short presentation on pallet sealing for the linear groupage model from Fiona Reardon, veterinary inspector in Veterinary International Trade. And then Kevin Williams will go through the generating the groupage export health certificates. And finally, we finish up with Jeremy McCallick with an overview of the requirements for certification by type on the traces system. There'll be an opportunity to ask questions after the presentations have been delivered, and you can ask those questions. They will be answered with information that is currently available, either during the webinar if the time permits, or written replies afterwards. So needless to remark, there are answers to questions that are not yet known, and we've put a lot of these already to the UK authorities, and as they will be the ultimate arbitrators, and we're waiting on their reply for on a number of issues. So in due course, all who are registered and attend will receive written replies to all the questions posed during the webinar. Just to let you know that this webinar is being recorded and will be made available on the DAFM YouTube channel with links to the Traces page on gov.ie website. Again, all who registered or attend will receive these links in due course. And last week's webinar on composite products has already been posted and is currently available for viewing. So I'd again encourage you to determine the type of product that you produce and to do this well in advance of the October deadline. This is whether it's a composite product or meat preparation or whatever, and be familiar with the correct CN codes and therefore what type of health certificate you require. You should also review your traceability systems and ensure that you can provide the information that will be required to the certifying inspector. Just to note that vets in attendance in this webinar have been approved. The webinar has been approved for 2 VCI CVE points, and the Staff Learning and Development Unit will issue CVE certificates to you in due course. So before I hand you over to my colleagues, I'd like to remind you that there will be a total of 12 Traces training webinars scheduled in this series. And the next webinar will be a training session specifically on the bovine fresh meat and minced meat cert, and will take place on the 14th of July at about 3 o'clock, as displayed in this training schedule that should be on your screens now. So if you wish to attend any of the further training webinars and haven't received the details, please do email traces@agriculture.gov.ie and request the training schedule. And the invitation to register for all the remaining training events in the series will be issued to you. So without further ado, I'll now hand you over to my colleague Michael Moran for the first presentation. Thank you.